Is atheism a religion? That's the conversation we're going to be diving in today. Most times, when this conversation comes up or when this subject comes up, it's more of a claim than it is a question. It is often atheism is just a religion as well. We often hear people do this with science. Well, science is just a religion. And so, what I often think of as soon as I hear anything like this is that, oh, these people don't know what a religion is. And so, a great place to start is by defining religion itself. Now, before we do that, of course, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this video if you think it'll be helpful for anyone else. And then also, I want you to check out our friends over at Crash Course. I'm sharing the link in the description. They have a wonderful crash course of the same title and topic, Is Atheism a Religion? And I think you will enjoy it. All right, so let's jump into this. Let's define what is a religion. All right, are y'all ready? I have my notes here. I have my computer on the side. We're not doing teleprompter today. Maybe next week I'll get back into some teleprompter stuff. I like to mix it up. But our subject today is atheism a religion? And we want to start with defining what exactly is a religion. And so let's start here. A religion isn't just a belief, okay? It's an organized system of beliefs, bodies, and behavior. Religion is an organized system of beliefs, bodies, and behavior built around the sacred or the supernatural. And so, of course, that's gods, spirits, energies, ancestors, cosmic laws, cosmic deities, and that list can go on, right? But at the end of the day, when you're talking about religion, the first thing you're talking about is something that is organized. You're talking about something that is systemic, something that is organized, and the components that it is organized around has beliefs, and it has bodies, and it has behavior. So beliefs alone are not enough to quantify a religion. Behavior alone is not enough to quantify religion. Even having people who share a belief is not enough to quantify a religion unless they are somehow connected through an organizing system. All right, does that make sense? All right, so religions typically come with structure, and that may look like doctrine, what to believe, that may look like ritual, how to behave, and that may look like authority, who gets to decide what's true. All right. So religions don't just answer what people believe, they tell people how to live, who belongs, and why the world works the way that it does. Okay. So let's look at that. Religions are not just answering the question, what do people believe? Religion answers the question, how do you live? All right. So when you know someone is a devoted Christian, you know something about their behavior, or you feel like you know something about their behavior. And I'm not even just talking about the moral aspects. We won't go there. I'm more so talking about things like, well, you know that they likely go to church on a Sunday or a Saturday. You know they likely have a special book somewhere in their home. Once you know someone is Muslim, it doesn't just tell you something about what they believe about Allah or the Prophet. You also know, oh, so this person must pray likely 3 times a day. They're facing the east when they do so, and they have a special carpet like Aladdin because they got to go on a magic carpet ride. Oh, that's a little belittling, but it's funny, isn't it? All right, so you know what I'm saying. So that's what religion does. Religion is not just, oh, you believe something, you're a religion, or you don't believe something, you're a religion. That's not how religion works. And I don't even know why we'd entertain. I don't even know why we'd entertain a full conversation with a person who approaches it that way. You know what I'm saying? I often encourage people to think about it. You spend too long talking to a dumbass and you'll become a jackass and you won't even know it because you'll be so used to arguing with dumbasses that you forgot what living in the real world feels like. I hope that helps. All right. So, again, what religions do, let's kind of give our definition here. A religion isn't just a belief, it's an organized system of beliefs, bodies, and behaviors built around the sacred or the supernatural. They tell people how to live, who belongs, and why the world works the way that it does. All right. So, now that we got us a good foundational definition of religion, let's also get a foundational definition of atheism. All right. So, we'll start here. Atheism is not an organization. It's not a system. It's not even a ritual practice. It is simply a position on one question. Do you believe in God? No. That's all atheism is. It's a position on one question. That's it. It doesn't tell you how to live. It doesn't tell you what's moral. It doesn't tell you who to worship or what happens after you die. It is simply the rejection of a claim, not the creation of a counter religion. So atheism by far is simply a position. And just to expand on this, and I'm doing this out of good faith, right? Sometimes when people say atheism is just a religion, some of those people, and I'm trying to deal in as much good faith as I can here. Some of those people aren't necessarily talking about atheism in general. Many of them are referring to what has been called new atheism. And that was the movement that got loud in the early 2000s with figures like Dawkins, Hitchens, Harris, and Dennett. Now, that version of atheism, for some, if you don't actually understand religion, can look like a religion to outsiders because it has recognizable voices, public debates, and even its own body of scriptures, if you will. We can reference books like the God Delusion or Letters to a Christian Nation or whatever else or God is Not Great. Like there's a whole almost canon, if you will. However, that's not exactly how that's working. And of course, we did go through the definition of religion to begin with, just to go ahead and quantify what it is and what it isn't. And having recognizable voices does not make a religion. Having public debates does not make a religion. And even having a group of books that you recognize or that you reflect on doesn't make a religion. All right. So again, that's not religion. That's cultural organization, not religious structure. It's a community of people who share similar values around evidence, critical thinking, and scientific literacy, not supernatural devotion. At most, which is accurate in many cases, it's a fan club. But at best, it is, oh, these are people who like these types of books. These are people who like to read things about these types of subjects. It's actually very simple to conflate that with religion. I mean, like that's not just a leap. That's an entirely different conversation, right? It's an entirely different conversation. And this is why I say honestly, I don't even understand why this claim exists. I don't understand. Like this will likely be the only video I ever do on this one. And again, I say that now, but you never know what people do. And so I'm hoping this video is good enough to be like, which actually I'm gonna be honest, Crash Courses is excellent. I'm just adding it from a different perspective. Crash Courses is excellent. Go check out theirs. And if y'all want to compare notes, you can. Now, please understand we two different types of platforms. But no, like I don't understand, me, and y'all know I'm weird like this. I don't understand why this question exists, why this claim exists. I don't understand how it even gets taken seriously. I don't understand why people get upset when people say it. Atheism is a religion. Just say yeah and see what happens in the conversation, right? Nothing, because it has no utility. It's not clarifying anything, it's not solving a problem, and it's not even clever, right? It's like calling someone a chicken. It's just name calling dressed up as philosophy. You know what I'm saying? Well, you guys are just a religion too. That's the weirdest type of name calling, right? That's like somebody else calling you their name. Like, don't argue with this person. You know what I'm saying? Well, you're a Christian too, deep down. What? Like, I don't know why that's supposed to hurt my feelings. I don't understand. And there it is right there. That's literally what it is. This is why I encourage us not to engage in stuff like this because it's just so facetious. It's really more so about just getting you riled up about not being a part. It's really more so just about getting you riled up. Again, it's just calling you a name. It's just trying to make you upset. It's just trying to get you into something. And it's pulling you into that game where if it works, then their magical words work. What they're assuming is that you are as impacted by magical words as they are. And so if I say, ooh, you're a religion, you're going to have to engage me because you can't handle that because I've said the magic word. I've called you a chicken, and now you've got to perform. Now, for those of us who matured and as we matriculated through middle school, chicken don't work. So that's why, like, for me, it's like, this is weird. Anyone who understands the basic definitions of the word religion or the word atheism shouldn't be confused. Like, there is no confusion here. Anyone who understands the basic definitions of religion and atheism shouldn't be confused. The only purpose this question serves is really to dodge the harder conversation about why religious beliefs still demand special privilege in public life. Okay, but also atheism isn't a religion. for the same reason that theism isn't a religion, right? So think about it. Theism, belief in one God, isn't a religion either, right? Theism isn't a religion. Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and so on, those are religions that are built on theism, but being a theist does not automatically make you religious. Being religious is a different category, it's a different quantifier. So there are people who are theists who are not religious. There are people who believe in a God. They may believe in many gods. They may believe everything is God, or everything are gods, but they do not participate in any type of organized system with other bodies in any way that impacts their behavior, right? Because that's what makes it a religion. Anything prior to that is premature. All right. So theism alone is just a belief category, it's a box you check. And atheism is just simply the box next to it, right? So neither one tells you what to eat, what to wear, who to marry, or what happens when you die. So saying atheism is a religion makes as much sense as saying abstinence is a sex position. It just doesn't work that way. It just really doesn't work that way. And again, and all of you understand, and all of you get some understanding, right? So one of the things that I challenge people to do when you hear like knee-jerk claims and responses, reactions, questions, or what have you, like that, think about the definitions of the words, right? Because most times people are using improper definition. This goes back to my pastoring days. I remember as a youth pastor, or not even as a youth pastor, because it's still when I was younger. I remember as a youth minister, I know there's a difference. There is a difference. But I remember as a youth minister really struggling with this word hypocrisy, because the common definition when I was coming up of hypocrisy was a person who said one thing but did another, or a person who believed one thing and did another. Basically, a person who did not live in alignment with the things that they said. And I was just like, no, if that's the case, then just everybody's a hypocrite. Everybody, that's how I felt about it at that time. I was like, I don't think humans have had that type of fidelity in our lives. We haven't operated in that type of congruence, not that I've seen, right? But then, of course, when I actually looked into the word, which the word hypocrite is actually an acting word, it's a performative word. It means to wear a mask. And so a hypocrite is not someone who says one thing and does another thing. A hypocrite is somebody who pretends to be something while secretly being something else. That's a totally different thing. So a lot of times when people say, hey, science is a religion, atheism is a religion, they don't have the proper definitions for science. They don't have a proper definition for atheism, nor do they have a proper definition for religion. And so now the one thing that they know about themselves, and it's pretty a safe assumption for you when you can hear someone using these words so recklessly, is that they didn't even put in the effort to get it right. So those are the things that I look at in advance. That's why I'm not necessarily into debate culture. It frustrates the hell out of me, because why would I want to talk to somebody who didn't even put in the effort to get it right? Like, you didn't even go say, let me go check what the religion means. You just said, no, I'm going to operate off of my ignorance and just assume that I know what these words mean, even though I've not even played a consistent or any type of significant role in religion at all. So I don't like you hating from the outside of the club. It's not a smart thing to do. Not great. All right, so let's go. So, next part, let's deal with the conceptual confusion. People sometimes will say atheism is a belief system. So many people assume everyone must have a religion. You have to be religious to kind of feel that way, because a part of you being religious is a prison. And it's a prison that you're willfully living in, but it's a prison. And you've chosen that prison because you feel that there are no other options, right? And so if that is your worldview, man, I am showing y'all the fear behind this thing, right? That's what it is. These types of religions, and I'm not saying all religions are a prison, but I even can say most, most have been, but they're a prison. They're a place that you submit yourself to because there's probably a better word than prison, but it's a place you turn yourself into because you're afraid of the outcomes. And that's why they think, no, if I'm doing this, Surely everybody must be doing this. Everybody must be just as terrified as I am, because that in your world, that's the reality. The reality is that the world is scary, and there's a big bad devil out there, and he's trying to get you, and God is the one that sent him after you. And no matter what you do, if you don't, bow down and kiss his knees, he's going to send the devil after you to poke you in the booty with his stuff, and you make stuff whatever you want to with your kinky self. But no. So you have this ideology that, everybody must have a religion then. So when an atheist says they don't believe in any gods, the religious listener interprets that as just another kind of belief. So you believe that there are no gods. That's what your belief system is. And again, that's a jump. To jump from a belief or non-belief to a system is a jump that cannot be justified. You can't make that leap. So in their mindset is, you believe there is no God. I believe there is one. Both are beliefs. So atheism is just another religion. But that's a category error, right? Theism is a belief in at least one God. Atheism is the absence of belief in any gods. There's no doctrine, creed, ritual, or moral hierarchy attached to atheism itself. It's simply a lack of belief on a specific claim. And even the depth of that lack of belief can be different from atheist to atheist. There is nothing that unifies. There is no atheist ideology. There's only an atheist position, and that is the belief that there are no gods. Some of us believe that more strongly than other people, you know. But at the end of the day, it's the simple fact that nope, I have, I often tell people, like, no, I have no reason to believe in a God. Even when I was a Christian, I understood that. That was the whole point of believing by faith. There is no logical reason to believe in a God. There could be a logical reason to hypothesize a God, possibly, or hypothesize a creator. And I put creator in a different category than God. People have believed in a creator before they believed in the idea of God. And so I think conflating those two ideologies is very irresponsible. And it's one that Christians in particularly like to take advantage of. So they argue for the existence, claiming to argue for the existence of their God. They end up just arguing the existence for some vague creator God, and their God is not some vague creator. Their God is a specific God with a specific personality, with a specific plan, a specific purpose wrapped up in a specific piece of paper, you know? And so to get away from any of that is as intellectual dishonesty. So, like, do you believe in a vague creator God, or do you believe in the Bible God? Now, if you believe in the vague creator God, yeah, then you advocate for that God when you're debating. But if you believe in the Bible God, we don't need you talking about the vague creator God. You need to defend the God of the Bible. And of course, most importantly, even if you convinced yourself that a disbelief in God is actually a belief, the reason I wouldn't even make that argument with anyone is because a belief still doesn't make a religion. And it just kind of takes me back to the beginning about the utility of the claim and the question itself. It doesn't clarify anything, it doesn't solve a problem. This is literally just name calling to get you locked into the conversation, right? Because, well, you have a belief. Okay. Jordan Peterson does this a lot. He gets people to say, well, everybody worships something. What does that have to do with the existence of a God? What does it have to do with religion? People have been worshiping things long before religion was an organized thing. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things is wrong. So no, a belief, even if we were to warrant that, even if you were to say, well, no, there are some atheists who strongly believe that there is no God. So they then are the ones that are religious. And it's like, no, there still is not an organized system of beliefs, bodies, or behavior. So no. And what's the sacred thing? Or the supernatural. But yeah, see, do you see how many words we're conflating, and how many categories we're skipping, how many levels we're skipping when we try to equate atheism with religion, or you try to equate science with religion, or you try to equate anything that's not a religion with religion by these same definitions? Like, you'd have to assume that the person making this claim, as if it's some type of in-depth revelation has not even taken a look at the board of life, because then how could you come to that conclusion about atheism and not about anything else? How could you then not just say, well, damn, capitalism must be a religion too? Honestly, I used to joke that most Christians are not Christians, they're capitalists, because religion is about what you modify your behavior for. And I know many Christians who don't really go to church. They won't really change their schedule for church, but Monday through Friday, jalapeno, we know where they at, serving the almighty dollar, the god of mammon. All right, so anyway, but no, so if you were going to use that type of category distinction, then why draw the line at atheism? Why is not everybody who likes Harry Potter part of a religion? Why are not Stephen King's fans now a religion? Why is the Beehive now not a religion? Are Swifties a religion? Now, I might be stumping myself in the foot here, because some of these might actually. Now, let me stop. But no, you see what I'm saying? So while things may have communal aspects, things may even have cultic aspects, it still has to meet the parameters of a religion in order to be a religion. So again, a belief does not make a religion. Some people believe that pineapples belong on pizza. I don't necessarily believe they do, but if I see them on mine, I'm not going to be mad. Pineapple and pork goes wonderful together. I don't know what y'all talking about. You know what I'm saying? But there's other people who believe that aliens built the pyramid. Is that a religion? There are people who believe, all types of things, but your belief does not form a religion. Um, it's the framework of worship, doctrine, and institutional authority that transforms a belief into a religion. And then even then, it's trying to build a religion off of that one solitary belief would be just really weird. Like, could you find one religion that just has one belief? And I mean, that's because that's what you'd be dealing with atheism as a religion. You'd be dealing with a religion that only has one point of unifying correlation, and that is we all don't believe in God. That is actually not enough to build a religion. In the same way that if we said, okay, no, well, we all just believe in God. We believe in God, nothing else. That is not enough to establish a religion, because a belief alone doesn't do it. You need more beliefs, and then you need bodies who are committed to these beliefs, and then you need behaviors, which is where the ritual comes in at. Okay? So calling atheism a religion because it involves a position on a question about God is like calling not collecting stamps a hobby, one made popular by Richard Dawkins, or saying bald is a hair color. What color is my hair? I dare you to say bald. You know. But all right, so let's hit the cultural argument. We've kind of dealt with some of the confusion in the language. Let's deal with the cultural argument, which is, well, atheism functions like a religion. Have you heard this one? Have you heard people say that? Well, y'all function just like a religion. This is where people start mixing categories that don't belong together, right? So when critics say atheism functions like a religion, they're often not talking about atheism at all. They're talking about humanism or a secular community. And this is why I say, if you're going to engage these conversations, do not let them get away with the category errors and the misuse of definitions. Get very clear on what are we talking about, and don't hold yourself subject to their misinformed definition. You know what I'm saying? So, but this is where people start mixing categories. When critics say atheism functions like a religion, they're often not talking about atheism at all, right? They're talking about secular community, they're talking about humanism. Okay, atheism, again, is simply a lack of belief in God. Now, humanism, on the other hand, is a philosophy and an ethical framework centered on human welfare, reason, and shared responsibility. So, yes, many atheists, myself included, gather in community spaces, host Sunday sessions, discuss values, or participate in service projects. But that's not because of atheism. It's because of their humanism. All right. Now, to conflate the two is intellectually sloppy. It would be like assuming people go to church because they're Republicans. instead of recognizing that they go because they're Christians. Just because I am one thing and I do a thing that other things do, don't mean you get to skip that category. The social behavior, the gathering, is driven by belief systems, not by single statements of beliefs. Okay? Systems, not single statements. When critics blur that line, they turn a sociological observation into a straw man. Humanism provides the moral and communal framework. Atheism simply provides the theological position. So, when you see atheists building communities, sharing values, or creating rituals, that's not atheism pretending to be religion. That's humanism doing what humans do best, organizing around meaning, compassion, and shared progress. Atheism answers the question, do you believe in a God? It is humanism that answers the question, how do we live together? All right. Is this good for anybody? Dang, I love it. All right. So now let's also deal with the emotional defense. And I got to get out of here. All right. So the emotional defense is some people say, many people say this to deflect from the burden of proof. They say, you have faith that there's no God, just like I have faith that there is one. All right. But atheism, by far and large, does not assert certainty that no gods exist for any type of faith to be applied. It simply withholds belief until evidence is presented. That's not faith. That's skepticism. All right. So, in my case, because I am one of those people that I define myself like as an atheist with a hard A, because my atheism is based in an absence of belief, there's just no faith required. When I think about people bringing this up, it's absolutely a type of special pleading because you would not consider this in any. I don't believe in Superman. There is no faith required for me not to believe in Superman. Now, generally, what this person is trying to say, but they're not going to say the quiet part out loud, they're trying to say, like, you're hedging your bet that hell doesn't exist. That's really where they're going. And I'm like, but I think we've all kind of walked through that Pascal delusion where you realize, like, no, I'm actually hedging my bet that like thousands and thousands and thousands of different afterlives don't exist. You know, I'm more of a gambler than you think. No, let me stop. All right. So, but again, atheism doesn't assert certainty that no gods exist. So it's the same people, same reason most people don't believe in unicorns. It's not because you don't have faith in, or that you have faith in no unicorns. It's like there's no good evidence that unicorns exist. I have no reason to believe in God. So I have no reason to apply faith in one direction or another. I don't even find it to be a useful measurement of the existence of something. That's weird, right? Like, why would he even go there? All right. So I do want to highlight what it is because even a broken clock is wrong twice a day, right? And so sometimes, while these people don't often have the language and are just saying things that are absolutely not true, there is something that they are recognizing and that they are wrestling with, that they're trying to figure out what's going on. And in part, it's an internal wrestle. It's that wrestle that says, okay, what if my religion is absolutely wrong? What's next? We as humans have been religious for so long, which I would argue on that a little bit. But in the public consensus, we feel that we of humans have been religious for so long that it is absolutely terrifying to imagine what comes after. That's when that many of them are thinking about something bigger. It's just too big for them to even articulate. They are thinking about the world after that. It's I forgot who said it. Was it Voltaire? Was it Voltaire who said we have killed God? And who have this imagining, then if there is no God, if there is no religion, what are we going to do? What is happening? And so what they're noticing is that there's an increase of people who are becoming less religious. There's an increase of people who are beginning to say with more confidence that I don't believe in God. And people are wondering, if that spread continues, what will the world look like? And so what they are noticing is that the existence of atheism and the popularizing of critical thinking and atheism challenges the very structure of contemporary religion. and people are trying to figure out what's next. So many times when people are claiming that atheism is a religion, they're almost hoping that it is. Dang, that got deep. So I want to talk about this a little bit. And just to be clear, I don't think it's just atheism that's led to this. Um, what people see coming is a new organizing mythos, and not even just one, but several. People are finding new ways to organize their lives, new stories to tell themselves, right? And I wouldn't say it's just atheism. I would say both atheism and open theism, right? Atheism and open theism have played crucial roles in exposing religion for what it has always been, and that is a human invention and an organizing tool. This is, I mean, once you remove the goggles of ignorance and superstition and trusting other people's misunderstanding, it's really not hard to dissect and to say, oh no, this is just humans. We see how this works. Like by the time you get to the birth of sociology, it's pretty much done. Like the nail is in the coffin. That just it's like, oh yeah, okay, we get it now. So atheism, yes, challenged the authority of revelation itself, pulling the curtain back on divine claims and asking, what if this was all us all along? What if there was never anything divine behind this? What if this is just us mirroring our own insecurities and even our own successes onto the universe? What if this is just us? And I'm sorry for getting a little sociological. What if this is just us trying to figure out how to design and organize ourselves and our desire to use the universe we live in, which was not a bad idea, as the model for how we organize ourselves, you know? And damn, like that's, I mean, when you think about it, that's some really good thinking right there, man. Humans, y'all are amazing, folk. Y'all are amazing. You look aggravating sometimes, but you're still amazing, you know? You can be aggravating and amazing at the same time. Jalapeno. Can I get a hell yeah? But open theism, meanwhile, reimagined divinity in human terms, suggesting a God who doesn't control everything, who changes, who learns. Now, in doing so, it unintentionally revealed how deeply religion mirrors human psychology, emotion, and social order. So, together, these frameworks cracked open the door for a profound realization, and that is if religion is a human creation, then humanity has the right and responsibility to reinvent the sacred. Now, this recognition doesn't create a void where religion once was, it creates a canvas, one where we can paint new mythos, not of submission and of fear, but of cooperation, of reason, and growth. Now, that's what secular humanism, scientific naturalism, and other post theistic frameworks represent. Not necessarily replacements for religion, but the next stages in its evolution. Now, that's how I look at it from a sociological perspective. They center the human experience, our curiosity, our empathy, and our shared story without surrendering to the illusion that meaning must come from beyond us. And what I mean by not surrendering, because again, there are people who are atheists who still may believe that there is something bigger out there. The distinction is not surrendering to anything that has not been demonstrated. It's not robbing people of speculation and wonder. It's protecting ourselves from authoritarian ignorance. That's good. I like that. I like that. So, in this way, atheism and open theism weren't endpoints of religion. They represent transitions, gateways to a deeper, more conscious understanding of ourselves as the meaning makers. Oh, yes. So, what we're witnessing now is the emergence of a new organizing mythos, one where the divine is not above, but the potential within, you know? And so, I'm going to close with talking about humanism, because this is what should get brought up into the conversation. If it's going to be a conversation, this is what should get brought up every time. Atheism is a religion. Well, to be accurate, it is not, but humanism is. All right. So, um, while atheism itself isn't a religion, humanism, specifically religious humanism, has been formally recognized as a religion in the United States. This isn't new information. That recognition isn't about gods or dogma. It's about the shared pursuit of meaning, ethics, and belonging without the need for the supernatural. Across the country, you'll find humanist churches, assemblies, and community clubs where the central question of belonging isn't what do you believe about God, it's how do we build a good life together. These exist. It actually shocks me that we don't promote more of these within the secular community, because they definitely exist. In these spaces, many of them, theists and atheists, sit side by side, not because they've compromised their worldview, but because they've transcended the divine divide entirely. The focus shifts from worshiping a deity to honoring the human experience, the joys, the griefs, the responsibilities, and aspirations that we all share. Legally and philosophically, humanism holds the ground that the Enlightened promised, but religion never delivered. In US law, humanism is recognized as a protected worldview, one that deserves the same constitutional respect as any theistic faith. In civic life, it represents a mature evolution of moral community, not built on obedience to divine command, but on cooperation, empathy, and evidence. Now, and that's why I often say, which is a new saying that I stole from a friend who's going to be with me on Sunday, but that we have the bigger gospel. Humanism is the bigger gospel. Because while religion narrows the story of existence to the chosen few, humanism expands it to all of us. It preaches a gospel where human progress is sacred, understanding is worship, and compassion is the only commandment that needs repeating. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation today because I've dang showed enjoyed having it. So the question was, is atheism a religion? I hope that I've answered it. I hope I've put the nail in the coffin that no, atheism is not a religion. But even beyond that, this is not even worth a conversation. I think we need to stop treating it like a slur. We need to stop responding to it like someone just called us a chicken and just need to decide, what am I beyond atheist? And if you are a humanist, then it's not even a critique. It's not a bad thing. Oh, so you must be some of them people who actually work together with other people for people, huh? Yes, I am. Next question. It's really that simple. Again, I hope you've enjoyed this conversation today. If you did, make sure to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, all that jazz. Listen, we have a lot of great things happening right now with Bridge City Global. It looks like I'm going to be back in California at the top of the year. And then for those who are with us on the global platform right now, I told y'all we were rolling it out. It's been so amazing to me just seeing people trickle in and start participating. We've been rolling out these new clubs. So we're getting ready to have open house week where all of our club organizers are going to tell you what they have that you can get involved with. I have a few clubs that I'm organizing myself to get people more involved with things that we do, even right here on the channel. And we just started unveiling a few of our community events. For example, every first Sunday, we're going to be having community movie night. Now, I will tell you, this first community movie night that we're watching together, this one is really for leaders and builders. This first one that we're doing together is actually about a church's first 5 years of existence, them going from not existing as a church to being a church. 8 families coming together to build a local community. Now, I personally chose this documentary because many of the people who are excited about building community have never seen it done before. And this church did an excellent job. The documentary is wonderful. It shows you the emotional roller coaster, the turmoil that you go through with building something that is people centric and centered around people, not necessarily bylaws or anything like that. Oh, it's a rough road. And it also gives insight into the mechanics of what going through the everyday of building a local community really, really looks like. There's going to be religious language, there's going to be religious imagery. And so if you are still sensitive to any type of that stuff, I would suggest maybe sitting this first one out. Now, the next one is going to be Dogma. That's also going to have religious language in it and religious imagery, but it's dogma, right? So, but for the first movie night, we're going to be watching this documentary. If you've not joined us on the app yet and you desire to be a member of Bridge City Global, and again, this isn't for people who want to be close to me. Now, you're going to get access to me here, but that's not what this is for. This is for people who want to be a part of a secular community that has a mission of being a better way to connect better, build better, and live better. If you're looking for that, man, the link It's in the description. We'd love to see you there. And also, please support the work that we do in any way that you can. That's all I have for today. Until next time, y'all keep rising.